Champions Cup, final round of regular round games. Round 6 is done. Sunday games. Both kind of going the way of the teams predicted to win. Perhaps the margins a little bit different, especially one of them. But yeah, start with the first one. I watched this one. Leinster going into Wasps. 37 points to 19 is a pretty comfortable victory at the end of the day. Bonus point win, 4 tries to 3 tries. Kind of a game of two halves. It was familiar stuff for Wasps in that first half because, I mean, Leinster opened with a penalty. Ringrose got his try. Cronin, the try-scoring machine, got his try. And they go into the break, and it's, what, 13-0? And yeah, it's not looking very good for Wasps. I mean, to be fair, things didn't start off well for them. Hughes looked like he got injured at one point, but he managed to play on. And then Launchbury took a knock to the head, and he went off, but stayed off. They said he passed the HIA, but then Dai Young wasn't sure why he hadn't come back on. He said the medics had made a call to keep him off, so yeah, that wasn't kind of ideal stuff for them. But man, Leinster just had so much ball in that first half. I think the final stat at half time, 66% possession to Leinster, and Wasps had conceded 6 penalties to 1. So it's kind of just the pressure that Wasps were under. So 13 points behind, not actually that bad, all things considered. But Wasps in the second half, I mean, as you can see, they scored 19 points. So it was still an improvement. I mean, Leinster kept chugging along, but they conceded 3 tries. So it wasn't the kind of same dominance that we saw in that first half. It was more of a match. So yeah, Hughes got his try after a big build-up, made it 20 points to 7. But then Cronin got another try. I mean, forget, it was one of the props, I think, considered a pretty silly penalty for Wasps. Leinster set up the maul. James Ryan in that maul was just absolutely pumped, like motivating the boys to just keep trucking, and they sure enough got there. So Cronin got his next try, 27 points to 7. But Wasps hit back from a ruck not that long after. That was Robson with his one. Sneaky little move that just no one was watching him. He just went around the side of the ruck and straight under, so pretty smart heads-up try, 27-14. Noel Reid got his try after a Healy line break, 34-14. So every time Wasps inch a bit closer, Leinster just pulled back away, and then Watson got a try right at the end, a good move into the corner, 34-19. And then a final penalty at the end, 37-19 is the way it finished. So, yeah, I mean, good stuff from Wasps to see them play a half of rugby against the defending champions. If they'd not been kind of, what was it, 13 points behind after half time, it might have made that a little bit more interesting. But, I mean, Leinster, that's the thing, they're class for 80. It doesn't matter if you compete for 40. It's an 80-minute game. Surprisingly, I would have thought that the first half would have been more even and then Leinster run away with it, but it was actually the other way around. So, kind of against the trend. But, man, like even with new guys coming in at 9 and 10, well, I mean, Byrne played last week, but still, it doesn't stop that Leinster juggernaut just keep on going on. I mean, Jamison Gibson-Park played pretty solid. Some of his box kicking was on song, especially in that first half. They had Wasps under all kinds of pressure. So, yeah, final stats. I mean, possession and territory evened out a little bit, so 54% for Leinster. So still in the dominant half, but not quite as much as that first half. More run meters, 380 to Wasps 316. Interestingly, turnovers 1. Leinster won 8 to Wasps 3. That's kind of a key battleground that was lost for Wasps, and penalties conceded 9 to 3. So, I mean, what was it at halftime? 6 to 1. So, probably shows that, Wasps were better in that second half. It was just the first half that cost them. But, yeah, man, I mean, Dave Kearney and Ringrose both had 5 defenders beaten. So, pretty solid effort. Campagnaro had 4 for Wasps, which was alright. And Josh van der Fleer, James Ryan, both had 19 tackles, and James Ryan made 2 turnovers. The guy is just, I mean, I go on about him every time Leinster play. It's just a monster of a man. Nizam Khan was actually the top tackler with 21, but I guess his team had a bit less ball. So it makes sense that they had to make more tackles. So yeah, Leinster got the job done. Onwards to the quarterfinals for them. And the next one, Bath almost got the job done against Toulouse, 17 points to 20. I didn't watch this one, but I have seen the highlights, and they did mention some of the play throughout the Leinster game. It kind of started as expected with Takori getting a try. It was after a maul, which was kind of like most of the time you see a maul that gets any pay, it comes from a line-out move. But this one they just set in the middle of play, and it actually managed to go somewhere. So that was good stuff. 7-0 penalty, 10-0. Priestland kicks one back. They possibly could have scored a try, but they had advantage and ended up going back for a penalty. 10-3, and then Dupont got his try from some pretty messy play. 17-3 at halftime. It seems to be all going to the script. I mean, the fact that Toulouse only scored 20 points and they had 17 in the first half shows the second half perhaps wasn't their best shift. Rokoduguni got a try for Bath. It was from a Dupont error this time, so there were errors on both sides. That brought it within 7. Toulouse kicked the penalty 20 points to 10, so a bit more comfortable. But then Mercer got his try. After having been held up not long before that, he ended up going for a try the next kind of set of phases later. 20 points to 17, that's the way it stayed. Toulouse missed the penalty right at the end. Priestland, interestingly, just kicked it back to Toulouse, and then they just ran it out. So technically Bath had one more chance to run it if they wanted to try and go length of the field, but it didn't end up happening. So I mean, Huge was denied a try. He was out, so perhaps Toulouse could have done better on the scoreboard. I mean, they had a lot of early pressure. But I mean, Bath almost hit back as well. There was one moment where Atwood had a really nice line break, bumped somebody off. I think it might have been the fullback. That was pretty big stuff to see a lock out in the open field. It's always locks and props in open running, hookers, any other type 5. I like seeing them in space and looking at the fullback, knowing that they have to try and stop that guy coming at them. Stats, possession and territory, actually 47 to Toulouse, so Bath slightly more ball. Run meters, Bath 473, Toulouse 340, but then defenders beaten. Bath didn't do as well, 21 to Toulouse, 17 for Bath. So Bath had more ball, more meters, but perhaps not quite as dynamic when they had it. Interestingly, both sides made the same amount of tackles at 113 each. Key guys for this one: Dupont, despite kind of giving away a try, also scored a try. 57 run meters, 3 defenders beaten. Homer for Bath, 88 run meters. He was the top performer in the game. Also 3 defenders beaten. Francois Lowe, 3 turnovers. It's kind of what he's paid to do, and he was doing that. Dupont also had 2 turnovers. So that guy had a very, very busy game. But yeah, perhaps not what the bookies thought that Toulouse were going to do it by. It's kind of a pity for Wasps and for Bath that, like, if Bath had played at that intensity for the whole of the Champions Cup, it might have been a more interesting run for them. Likewise, if Wasps had been able to play like they did in that second half more often, it might have been more interesting for them. But both sides were pretty much out of it within a few weeks of the comp. Speaking of the comp overall, how do things finish up? Saracens are going to take on Glasgow. That's going to be an interesting one because they're in the same pool and they clearly don't like each other. So that one's one to look forward to. Racing 92 against Toulouse. 2 French teams up against each other. So we're guaranteed a French semi-finalist, but also guaranteed only one French team's going to make it. Leinster against Ulster. So an all-Irish affair in that one. That will be, pretty much a derby match. I mean, it's not quite... Well, it's pretty intense, isn't it? And the last one, Edinburgh up against Munster. So Munster will travel away. I guess Munster fans would have been hoping that, I think if both Leinster and Toulouse had lost, then Munster would have stayed at home. But it was always a long shot. So yeah, they travel to Edinburgh, which will be a Pro 14 matchup. It should be an interesting one. So it's pretty dominant for the Pro 14. 5 of their teams have made it through. 2 from the top 14. Just the 1 Premiership team made it, which is perhaps a bit disappointing for the English fans. 3 Irish teams, 2 Scottish teams, 2 French teams, and an English team. No Welsh teams made it. So Welsh fans probably not too enthralled with the way that Cardiff and Scarlets went as well. But hey, Scarlets had injuries, and Cardiff were in a pretty tough group, but still had some interesting performances. Yeah. So what do you guys think about these results? Did you watch the games? Let me know your guys' thoughts. And yeah, how do you think those quarterfinals are looking? Because to me, on paper, pretty much all of them look to have something pretty special about them. So I guess we'll see. I think we wait until March now to see how those things go. But anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts. We'll talk to you again soon. See you later.